Mega Meganium, a brand new Mega Evolution introduced in Pokemon CA, a really well-deserved Mega Evolution with how regarded Meganium is in the Pokemon franchise as a whole, but will it be enough to save it and make it viable in competitive Pokemon? We're going to be trying out Mega Meganium and seeing how well it can perform. This is my Tail Room Mega Meganium team. Mega Meganium is a very interesting Mega Evolution. It gets access to Fairy typing when it does evolve, so it turns into a Grass Fairy type. And it does only get Dazzling Gleam, unfortunately, as its Fairy type move. It doesn't get access to Moonblast, which is a bit of a shame, but not too bad. But it gets a really cool ability called Mega Soul. And what Mega Soul does, it applies the sun to all of its attacks. And what that means is all the moves that it would use would be if it was as used in like harsh sunlight. So that means that Solar Beam, normally a move that takes 2 turns to use if not in sun, but would be 1 turn because it instantly attacks in the sunlight. Solar Beam from Mega Meganium instantly goes off. And Weather Ball, a move that normally depends on the weather out currently, will be a fire type move like as it was in sun. And it also applies to multipliers as well with the extra power as well as the fire typing. Even if it's in rain, it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect it. Mega Meganium, as long as it has Mega Soul, will still apply the sunlight damage. So that's actually really cool for Mega Meganium and makes it a pretty interesting attacker because it gets really good coverage with Grass, Fairy, and Fire. It even gets Earth Power, but we're not running Earth Power today. And Mega Meganium is really interesting of a Mega Evolution. Gets access to Leaf Guard, which we're running here over the Overgrow before pre-evolution. That's like a small optimization. It's like in case like the sunlight is off, you're fighting like a Sneasler. It goes for Dire Claw and you can't get status because you have the Leaf Guard that prevents you from getting status, and then you can fire off a Weather Ball if you're facing like a Charizard Sneasler team, which is actually like a decent team in the format. So you're never really clicking Overgrow. I think with Solar Beam for the most part, you're probably just Mega Evolving at that point anyway. So that's why I have the Leaf Guard there. And the EV spread here on Meganium is going to be max HP with the ability to just tank attacks because Mega Meganium has some pretty good overall defensive stats and then a really good amount of special attack because the idea here is to try and sweep with the Mega Meganium and do as much damage as possible. And a little bit of extra speed. The main reason I want to outspeed with Mega Meganium is just to speed creep any Pokemon that might try to outspeed Pokemon like Mega Gengar in the format. It is able to outspeed base 135. I'm not sure if there's like a really relevant base 135 in the format currently, but it would outspeed again like Mega Gengar and a few points above that under the tail one, which I think is nice. And it was only like very little EV, so I thought it was like worth it across the board for the extra special attack because I do run, as we'll see later, ways to boost a Mega Meganium's attack even further and allow it to get those knockouts. But max HP to take the attacks, a good amount of special attack, that's what we need here. Now, how do we set up Mega Meganium? Because Mega Meganium, Grass Fairy is a cool typing, but it's such a weird typing at times because it could be a really good defensive type in some situations, but really awful one in many other cases. And in this format, pretty hostile. There's a lot of Pokemon that threaten Mega Meganium, such as Sneasler, like Mega Gengar, like Charizard Y. A lot of offensive Pokemon that threaten Mega Meganium for super effective damage. So you need to position it carefully, and that's why I thought the best approach to it was going to be with Tail Room, having both Trick Room and Tailwind, being able to have both options and figure out which one is the best into your opponent, and then focus on that to allow Mega Meganium to outspeed your opponent and actually dish out the damage. That is the idea here. So we have Cofagrigus. And Cofagrigus with Mega Meganium was a pair I really want to try out when I saw it. Like, I used Cofagrigus in a tournament a few months ago with Arboliva, and it was Terra Fairy Arboliva. It was kind of like a random tour team, so if you're wondering why, like, I wasn't like picking these mons on purpose. Like, I was given them and I had to work with them. So I came up with a really cool strat with Choice Specs Arboliva. Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam was able to win me so much. So I thought, you know what, when I saw the Terra Fairy, or when I saw Mega Meganium have the Fairy typing, I'm like, yeah, we're bringing that back. And I really fell in love with the creative Cofagrigus set. It's one of the few Pokemon that get access to both Trick Room and Fake Tears. Aromatisse also gets it, but you don't want to run double Fairy. I thought Cofagrigus was really cool because of the fact that, one, it's a mod that's pretty good into Sneasler because, one, it's obviously immune to the close combat as a ghost type, but also Dire Claw is not very effective. If I had Covert Cloak, I'd be able to run Covert Cloak, but we're running Cobra Berry mainly for King Gambit because Kowtow Cleave is a little bit scary, as well, of course, Incineroar Dark type moves and Hydreigon Dark Pulse can be a little bit annoying. So I think having Cobra Berry is helpful here. I was going back on forfeit items, but I don't think Mental Orb is needed when not many Pokemon are running Taunt in the format and Encore. And I think Cofagrigus really pairs well with Meganium. One, the Trick Room option, of course, to allow Meganium for some pretty decent speed advantage because Meganium's like not terrible speed wise, but it's not the greatest eater in this format. And then you could go for Fake Tears. And what Fake Tears does, the target will receive a -2 special defense drop, which means that the partner can then follow up with a really strong attack, which is going to be the Meganium and the Empoleon on this team. Disable is also such a cool move that a lot of players might not expect Cofagrigus to get, and you could shut down some really powerful attacks that might threaten your team. It's really useful to shut down, like let's say Dire Claw is targeting the Meganium. I can protect Meganium, I could disable the Dire Claw, and then the Sneasel probably doesn't have another way to hit the Meganium, so it's really cool. I could disable Close Combat. There's a lot of applications that Disable can do to protect my team while they're trying to sweep under the Trick Room turn. So I think Cofagrigus is really neat. And then Body Press is also cool because I can go for Body Press into Incineroar for a lot of chip damage, which is annoying for Meganium, but also King Gambit, which is also another big threat to Meganium, especially if it has Iron Head. So very cool, I think, combination with Cofagrigus plus Meganium. And that is the idea, is mainly to go for the Trick Room Fake Tears combination with the Mega Meganium. EV spread wise, there's a lot of strong special attackers in this format, so I think you need special defense mainly, but I still want at least a bit of defense because of the fact that you have Body Press and of course physical attacks like that King Gambit as an example. So still having the impish nature because 145 defense is pretty big, and just being able to take the defense of such a strong mod and boost it by 10% thanks to the nature, yeah, over the 105 special defense easily. But I still will max out the special defense just to be able to take the attacks pretty well. The reason I added a little bit of defense was for the jump point, and then just a little bit less in HP, which is pretty cool because you take less damage from Tyranitar Sand, for example. So that is pretty solid for Cofagrigus. Again, pairing well with Meganium, the Trick Room, that's kind of the idea behind the team. And then the other mon I really want to pair with Meganium was actually Empoleon, because if you think about it, the type synergy that they have is pretty insane, because you have Fairy Grass on one side and Water Steel. You have two of the most common type cores in the Pokemon history just at your feet, which is going to be Fire, Water, Grass, as well as Fairy, Steel, and Dragon. And the fact that you have those just into Pokemon already to complete that much of the synergy between both cores is actually really cool. And the reason is because they really complement each other. You can switch in, like for instance, Mega Meganium, weak to, for instance, Steel, as well as the flying coverage, which Empoleon can just switch into, and vice versa, Empoleon weak to ground fighting, which Meganium can just switch into. The only one they don't cover really well is going to be the fire, which you have a dragon and a fire type to kind of cover for that weakness. So that's the idea. But otherwise, a really good synergized core. Of course, Empoleon doesn't appreciate electric type moves, which Meganium also would help against. So I think it's a really nice combination, as well as Empoleon being able to threaten Incineroar, because Meganium, since we're not running Earth Power, doesn't really threaten Incineroar. So Empoleon can scare away the Incineroars from wanting to come in and take the Meganium attack. So I think it's pretty cool. Good into Mega Floette as well, especially with the Fake Tears combination, because even if you face one of the Calm Mind ones, Fake Tears plus Flash Cannon is super threatening. And if they try to Incineroar pivot to try to get Fake Out, yeah, you could threaten the KO into Hydro Pump, and then thanks to the boost, Flash Cannon them, which is really, really great. And then to pair with these mons, Incineroar just made the most sense. You want a mon to be able to pivot in the Mega Meganium safely, and Incineroar is one of the best to do it because you have Intimidate, you have Parting Shot, just being able to lower the damage output of the Pokemon that can threaten Meganium and get Mega Meganium in a safer position. That's what Parting Shot allows you to do. And the Intimidate Fake Out support, of course, Fake Out if you want to help set up the Trick Room as well as the Tailwind. Incineroar, really great mon in order to help accomplish that. Otherwise, you have the Flare Blitz and Throat Chop, which is good coverage to be able to hit Pokemon like the Mega Gengar that could be a little bit scary, as well as just Flare Blitz being a really strong fire type attack. EV spreads on the Empoleon and the Incineroar. Empoleon, I did debate about the items back and forth. As you saw, I have a Chople Berry, and the reason I have Chople Berry is I have it for Sneasler because the final concept of the team is a little bit weak to close combat. I do have 3 fighting weeks, so I think just having a Mon that can just be able to take a close combat from Sneasler, especially unintimidated because of the fact that they run wider. So just having another Mon that can just stay around and be able to absorb that is pretty solid. And I wanted Assault Vest originally, but unfortunately Assault Vest is not in the game, so you have to make do with what's due. And I thought that Assault Vest would make the most sense. I also think you could go with a boosting item like Mystic Water, which also I think is pretty reasonable, but I don't think it is necessary. And then the EV spread on the Empoleon, it has an even HP stack because I did have Citrus on it at one point, or Chople Berry on the Incin, but I swapped items at the end. I still have a good amount of special attack because I still want to be able to do damage even without the Fake Tears combination, and a bit of extra speed because you want to be able to outspeed Eternal Floette as well as Garchomp under Tailwind, and the rest going into physical defense to be able to take on like the close combat from Sneasler and the Earthquakes from Garchomp. Even through Intimidate, you still want to be able to take those pretty well since you already resist a lot of the special attacks that you do want to take already. Then you have this Incineroar EV spread. It's a very special defensive Incineroar, and the reason is because Charizard Y is such a big threat to the team in general. And as you can see, my switch-ins are Incineroar and Noivern. Noivern not the best switch-in, so I think having a big special defensive Incineroar, especially like if I have to go to Trick Room mode against Charizard Y, is kind of necessary. So having special defensive Incineroar is nice for Mega Gengar and the Charizard Y to be able to switch in those heat waves pretty consistently, because you do have to probably switch in to multiple of them. Finally, the last 2 Pokemon on the team is going to be Noivern and the Mamoswine, and I wanted a fast mode with the team as well. I didn't want to be heavily reliant on Trick Room, and I felt like that these mons were pretty good. Frisk on the Noivern is a fantastic ability. It allows me to scout for items, which in a best of 1 closed team sheet setting is very useful to be able to scout items because you can infer their sets, and that makes it easier for Mega Meganium to be positioned, because when you have a Pokemon with so many weaknesses, having the option to be able to know, hey, they might have this move because I saw this item on their Pokemon is actually really solid. And then just being able to outspeed Sneasler naturally and threaten it with Air Slash is pretty great. Draco Meteor for the Garchomp as well. Tailwind support is just really nice. I think Noivern's also a pretty cool support mon, up there with Aerodactyl, which I already featured Aerodactyl, so I did want to try Noivern, and it did balance out the Dragon Core for the Fantasy Core of the Dragon Fairy Steel that I have on the team. Last mon is going to be the Mamoswine, and the reason I have Mamoswine on this team is because I needed a mon that could threaten Charizard Y through Intimidate. So I like the idea of Mamoswine just because of the fact that with Oblivious you are immune to Intimidate, so you don't get your attack dropped. Choice Scarf allows you to outspeed Charizard Y as well as Sneasler, as well as Garchomp, and threaten all of them with super effective attacks. And that is the reason why we have Mamoswine on the team. It's a pretty good offensive mon too. It's a good different pacing from just a Tricker mode that's standard. And EV spread wise on both of these Pokemon, you have pretty much simple max special attack, max speed on the Noivern, which for Focus Sash mon is not too surprising. Timid Nature to be able to outspeed the Sneasler as well as the Mamoswine. Max attack because you want to hit as hard as possible. You want the Rock Slide to ideally KO Charizard Y, even through some of the bulkier ones, so you want that attack to be as maxed out as possible. And then you outspeed Sneasler with the speed investment, but you don't outspeed your Noivern. So if you do lead Noivern plus Mamoswine and they don't know your Choice Scarf, the idea is to hide that Choice Scarf because they might not see it coming, which I think is kind of useful in some situations. And then the rest remaining going into HP because Mamoswine has a bit of decent bulk, so might as well just invest into HP otherwise. But the speed on the Mamoswine is enough to outspeed the Sneasler at base 120, and it can outspeed like 130s even with max investment unless you're going Jolly, which I want Adamant Nature for the damage output. So I think this was the best that could be brought up. So how to use the team. Overall with Mega Meganium, because of its typing of Grass Fairy, it's still very vulnerable to a lot of common Pokemon in the format. So you really want to be able to figure out, okay, how do I position Mega Meganium to be in the best possible spot against my opponent's team? And usually that will be under Tailwind or Trick Room. You want to determine which of your speed methods that you are going for in that game. And if you do go with Trick Room, Cofagrigus will want to lead to set up the Trick Room. Usually Cofagrigus plus Incineroar is one of the best ones because you can go for Fake Out Trick Room, or you could go for Parting Shot Trick Room and try to position Mega Meganium in. Ideally, you do want to get Meganium in or the Empoleon in as quick as possible while under Trick Room, because you really want to be able to capitalize the sweeping potential of Trick Room. Because you don't have any spread moves with the Trick Room mode, you really want to be able to get in the attackers in early to abuse the Trick Room turns as much as possible, especially if they're protected stalling it out. So Cofagrigus Incineroar is probably one of the best leads, but you can also go with a few others, especially if you're scared of leading Incineroar into Kingambit. But I'd say Cofagrigus generally is one of the best ones. You can also lead Noivern next to Incineroar if you go for the Tailwind mode, because of the fact that you do have the exact same option, but this time with Tailwind. So you can go for Fake Out Tailwind or Parting Shot Tailwind. And again, you want to try to get in Mega Meganium or Empoleon as quick as possible and dish out the damage while under Tailwind. And with the Tailwind mode, you do have a bit of an extra option, which you do have like Mamoswine plus like Noivern, which is a very fast mode that can do a ton of damage if the opponent isn't that fast. Like if they have something like Charizard Y plus the Garchomp, it could be a really effective mode against that kind of team. And otherwise, you can pair up like offense standard lead Incineroar plus Empoleon or Incineroar plus Meganium, reduce the damage output from the Intimidate, as well as the Fake Out Pressure plus an attack. And then you could try to pivot in maybe like Cofagrigus, or a mid-game or late-game Tailwind option with Noivern is also a pretty effective approach, but that is only after like knowing either Empoleon can be put in a great spot where it's not really heavily threatened by damage, or the Meganium is safe to actually attack while you're pivoting around. If you would like to check out the details of the team, they'll be linked in the description down below. And if you would like to try out the blueprint of this team, it is going to be available for 1 week, so make sure you grab it while you can. But otherwise, let's get started and play some games. All right, we have a Spiritomb, which is cool because I haven't seen Spiritomb in this format, with Farigiraf, Rhyperior, Drampa, Empoleon, Torkoal. I think they're also kind of running a Trick Roomish team, so this might work in my favor. All right, so I do really like the idea of Meganium plus the Incineroar. Incineroar is pretty good. I just want a Parting Shot generally. I do really love how Meganium plays in this matchup. And I do like Incineroar Meganium. Seems pretty solid as a lead here because they don't have the best pressure into the Meganium immediately. So I do really love that. I think I always bring the Empoleon and I always bring the Cofagrigus because to reverse Trick Room is nice. So yeah, just have a lot of my bulky attackers work because Mamoswine doesn't really have much of a role here. It can't like 1 KO anything other than I think the Drampa. Maybe High Horsepower could knock out Empoleon depending on the set, but since these are probably a Trick Room team, it's going to be more on the defensive side. Mamoswine, really frail, probably gets one-shot by most of these Pokemon, so never really worth it. And Noivern, really only worth it for the Frisk, but not really that worth it otherwise. I just like the idea of having my really heavy hitters or my bulky Pokemon just be able to take a stage, because Meganium and Empoleon should be pretty good in this matchup. Wait, I forgot. They had an Empoleon. Why did I lead Instant? Well, you know what? Part of the plan. It's part of the plan. It's part of the plan. Okay. Kind of forgot about that one. Oopsie. I should have led my own Empoleon. Granted, this is not like awful, because I can double up the Empoleon with Solar Beam Flare Blitz, and I think this probably KOs the Empoleon. The question is, how are the Empoleon trained? Because my Incineroar has like 2 points of speed. So it might be faster than Empoleon, which might not have any investment, but we'll see. They could have investment, but we'll find out. Solar Beam gonna come out from the Mega Meganium, and let's see how much damage this does. It's a good special attack investment. Empoleon is a pretty bulky Pokemon, but we'll see. Oh, good amount of damage, actually. Oh, that's a crit. I was about to say, that did a lot. And no Citrus. So even though we got a crit, I think the only thing that changed this was because I outsped. I got double crit, but like, none of the crits mattered other than Incineroar would have probably taken more recoil from the Flare Blitz, but I'm pretty sure the Solar Beam into Flare Blitz would have been easily enough to KO there. So pretty good turn all around, but we still have to navigate this Trick Room, which is going to be a little bit scary. So going to be the Drampa coming out, actually. Okay, Drampa coming out is not what I expected. I thought the Torkoal would have came out, but this actually works out pretty decently for me. I think my play here is just, I don't exactly know what Drampa does. I know it has access to the Berserk with its Mega as well. Can it KO Meganium? I just feel like no. I feel like the answer is no. But I think I'm okay with just going for a Protect and a Parting Shot just to scout what the access to the Drampa has, because I might as well. I don't think Drampa can knock out Spadef and Incineroar at all. I want to check its stats real quick just in case. But I just don't expect this to have the most amount of damage output against me. I mean, 160 special attack is incredible, but let's see if it has a move that can knock me out. I don't think Draco KOs. Maybe Hydro Pump, but we'll see. Flamethrower. Okay, so they have Flamethrower, goes out into the Meganium, and that actually works out pretty well for me because I do get a Parting Shot off into the Drampa. This thing has really good bulk. It definitely lives a Dazzling Gleam. I have two options. I think my best play is just to go out into my Cofagrigus here. Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't go with Mint Speed Cofagrigus, which I probably should have looking back at retrospect. I didn't think it would matter. I thought I could maybe even use Cofagrigus on the Tailwind, but it would underspeed the Drampa right now and have access to disable on the Flamethrower. But I think I could definitely live a Flamethrower into a Psychic. Even Helping Hand Flamethrower won't KO the Meganium. So I'm going to go for Fake Tears here into the Drampa, I think. Yeah, I like Fake Tears into Drampa. And Dazzling Gleam. They go for a Flamethrower, which should not KO. Yep, I had a feeling. And probably Psychic or Hyper Voice, depending on their move. But Fake Tears will come out. Lower that special defense on the Drampa by 2 stages. And we're going to see Psychic, yeah, additionally, and not KO my Meganium. Yep. Crit would have come close, but I don't think it would have. Dazzling Gleam is going to take the knockout into the Drampa and a decent chunk to the Farigiraf. So that is beautiful. Drampa goes down, and now there are only 2 more turns of Trick Room that we have to play around. Let's see what they decide to bring out as their final Pokemon here. It's going to be the Spiritomb. Okay, interesting. And I kind of like how I'm going to set up this end game, I think, because there should be only 2 turns of Trick Room. Yep. So we want Meganium positioned well in the last turn of Trick Room. So I'm actually going to go out into my Incineroar to, 1, eat up any attack that they might want to go for. And I'm going to start going for Fake Tears into these Pokemon because I want to lower their special defense so they're put into range of my Dazzling Gleam from the Meganium. Because once Trick Room is over, if I get Meganium and safely, I can go for a big Dazzling Gleam and it would be huge. So we will go for a Fake Tears into the Farigiraf to start. Unless they're going to go for double Trick Room, which I'd be surprised by. But a Cobra Berry going to activate on the Snarl, which really going to reduce that damage on that Spiritomb. And what are you going to do with the Giraffe? You're going to click Psychic? Dazzling Gleam, okay. Doesn't do any damage. I'm not sure if Spiritomb has Protect. Again, they could go for double Trick Room if they want to, but I can still reverse a Trick Room with my Cofagrigus anytime I really want, so that's not too bad. Because even if they go for a double reverse Trick Room or double Trick Room to reverse the Trick Room, because if they go for a Trick Room twice, they'd be able to reset the Trick Room basically with 4 turns counting. It'd be still fine because I'd be able to just like protect Meganium, also go for my own Trick Room, and I get a free Fake Tears Parting Shot combo. So I'm just going to double up the Spiritomb, which is probably the less likely mon to have Protect. Farigiraf we saw have Protect, so I'm not going to go for the Parting Shot into that Protect. So going to go for the Fake Tears and Parting Shot combo. They go for Snarl again, which is completely fine. Reduces the damage, but like the Spiritomb's really not doing that much. I think Spiritomb's cool because it does have access to Trick Room, which was a buff. At least I think it does in Champions. I know it got Trick Room in recent generations, but I don't know about the learn set. It probably does get Trick Room, I assume, if it's on this team. But now, with that combo, we can now bring out our Meganium. We can click Dazzling Gleam into both of these Pokemon, and we should be able to win this game. So, Meganium is in. Trick Room returns to normal, and now because of those Fake Tears from the Cofagrigus, we are now set up in a position where Meganium should be the faster Pokemon, and we can go for a Body Press. Also, if the Spiritomb has Sucker Punch or Shadow Sneak, shouldn't KO the Meganium because it is at -2 attack. So that's the reason why I brought in the Incineroar for the Parting Shot, to be able to pivot out the Meganium at the perfect timing to be able to claim these double knockouts. So if for some reason Dazzling doesn't KO the Farigiraf, Body Press will KO the Farigiraf. So not too worried. And I also still have a full health Empoleon, and as well as like a decently healthy Incineroar to clean up. So Dazzling Gleam going to come out, and actually Farigiraf does survive, which is impressive. But Spiritomb down, And Farigiraf maybe gets one more attack off. Max Gleam probably doesn't knock out the Meganium. Yep. And Body Press will KO the Farigiraf. So, nice. So, Meganium really able to show how strong it could be. The double up allowing me to KO the Empoleon. The Fake Tears Dazzling combination is something I really want to get off with the Cofagrigus next to the Meganium. And it was really able to put in work right there because we were actually able to really pick up the knockouts where Meganium needs a little bit of help because it does have Solar Beam, which is strong. The rest, not nearly as much because same type attack bonus, but spread Dazzling Gleam and Weather Ball. So without the sun, yeah. Okay, this is one heck of a team. They got an Armarouge with Incineroar, Hydreigon, Excadrill, Lopunny, which is probably going to be the Mega Pokemon on this team, in Whimsicott. So Trick Room seems pretty nice here. I kind of want to lead Empoleon though, because Empoleon's actually pretty decent against this team, I'd say. They have a lot of weaknesses just in Empoleon in general. I could also do like some Mamoswine game plan, but they do have priority Tailwind, which makes it scary. So I think I'm going to do Empoleon plus Incineroar, which is pretty solid. Because if they lead Lopunny, I want to make sure I'd be intimidated immediately, so I lower that damage output. And then with the Chople Berry, Empoleon will definitely live any fighting attack, which is important. And then in the back, I want to lead have Cofagrigus Meganium, I think. Because Noivern's alright. It outspeeds Hydreigon, and Air Slash would be pretty solid here. Yet I don't think it's a play. I think my slow mode is just better equipped to deal with this more fast-paced team for the most part, because they do have an Armarouge, which means they could have Trick Room. But my ideal game plan is just to set up the Meganium under Trick Room. So we're gonna see Whimsicott and Excadrill, which is a completely fine lead here for me, unless it's the it could be Mega Excadrill, I suppose, but that's fine. All right. So I do have access to Fake Out. Both Pokemon got intimidated, right? So I should be fine here. I don't want them to set up Swords Dance. I think my play here is just to go for a Hydro Pump into Excadrill. No, I think my play here is just to Flash Cannon the Whimsicott and go for Parting Shot. I just don't. I could go for the KO and the Excadrill, but if I go for the KO and the Excadrill, I'm a little bit worried about them getting a free switch to like Hydreigon, having access to Fake Tears as I bring Cofagrigus, so I don't want to have that option for them. They're going to actually switch out the Whimsicott into Lopunny, so that's actually smart by them because they get to keep... Ooh, also protect the Excadrill. I really wish I swapped here, but that's fine. I wish I hard swapped the Incineroar into Cofagrigus, which I did debate about, but I really didn't want to risk like Swords Dance Excadrill for some reason. But then again, they're probably not going to Swords Dance in this position when threatened by both Empoleon and Incineroar that could probably one-shot it. So, okay. Gonna be a little bit weird, but granted, this is playable. The problem is Lopunny is going to have access to its Mega on deck. So, I think my best play is just to protect Empoleon. I wish I had Meganium in, but we go out into Cofagrigus. Actually, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. I'm going into Cofagrigus. I'm actually hoping that they target the Incineroar with the Lopunny, because if they do, they get rid of their Scrappy ability, because they would come into contact with Mummy. And Scrappy, of course, would allow them to hit my Cofagrigus with a normal or a fighting type attack. But if they just decide to attack the Empoleon, that's fine as well. I do have Chople. But I am protecting this turn just to preserve that Chople Berry. But we'll see. Gonna be the close combat. They do target Cofagrigus, so I can intimidate the Lopunny next turn. So that's nice, actually. All right. Become a Mummy. I think this is actually like one of the coolest applications I've seen of like the ability actually working out. They went for Earthquake into themselves. What? Wait, are you knocking yourself out? Oh, you crit my Cofagrigus. I was taking nothing from that. Oh, that's a really bad crit. Okay. That's a crazy self-earthquake, though. Demon in. Okay. It is the Hydreigon. They're gonna double up the Empoleon slot. I think my best play here, I need to get rid of Excadrill. Because Excadrill is definitely the biggest threat for my Meganium. Because they'd have the flinch chance, and they would have the super effective Iron Head. So I'm going to go out into Incineroar to intimidate the Excadrill immediately, so I take less damage from Earthquake. I also can have a sack later on. Oh, activates the Wider Bond Hydreigon, which is actually nice. So if they go for Draco at any point, it's good for me. Dark Pulse does a lot. Earthquake. All right. The only problem with Empoleon in this gen, or in this game, is it has no accurate water moves. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness that Empoleon locked in to hit the Hydro Pump, KO the Excadrill. That's such a huge hit. All right, beautiful. Okay. Very nice hit. Very nice hit. I wonder if the Whimsicott has a move that can knock out Empoleon. My best play is just to fake out Hydreigon and Flash Cannon the Whimsicott. Yeah, so we're going to Flash Cannon the Whimsicott, because they can't knock out Empoleon unless they have a Grass-type move. Grass-type move is pretty rare. They usually just run Moonblast, Tailwind, and then a bunch of other support moves. And then we just fake out the Hydreigon, so it can't attack this turn into my Empoleon. And ideally, Empoleon either KOs Whimsicott or brings it down to Sash. Because if we get rid of Whimsicott, I see very little chance of my opponent being able to break through Meganium in the endgame, which is why I'm aiming for this play. Also, Whimsicott doesn't protect here. It's like very likely that they don't have protect, so I can bring out Instant another turn and fake out the Whimsicott to finish it off if it does survive this Flash Cannon. Fake out Hydreigon. Moonblast into Instant, completely fine. I'll also heal back with my Citrus. Took it really well. That should be Focus Sash Whimsicott, I think, because that's max special attack, I'm pretty sure, if you're doing that much special defensive Instant. Oh, we don't get to find out. Actually, that probably has bulk, because I have a lot of... Actually, no, I don't have that much special attack on Empoleon. I changed it. I was like debating on max special attack, but no longer. My best play is to protect the Empoleon, sack Cofagrigus here. Yeah. I guess the upcoming turns could be kind of a mind game depending on if the Whimsicott has Protect. If the Whimsicott doesn't have Protect, I think the game is very likely sealed unless Hydreigon has Fire Blast specifically, or it would have to have, like, there's no poison move that it gets to hit my Meganium, I'm pretty sure. They go for Dark Pulse into Empoleon as well as Moonblast into the Instant slot. Yep. So Cofagrigus goes down. I always fake out the Whimsicott because I can't make the Hydreigon play again, because they could just Encore my Empoleon and that just means a wasted turn. So I always fake out the Whimsicott here. I don't have to worry about Encore on the Whimsicott. If they do have Protect and they can Encore, they threaten Encore, they don't because of the Dark typing. So now I just go for an Ice Beam into the Hydreigon slot and I go for a fake out into the Whimsicott slot. And ideally, Whimsicott doesn't have Protect, which means it would be a good game. And if they Protect Hydreigon, and we know the Whimsicott didn't Protect because it has Prankster, so it would have gone for the Protect first. We KO the Whimsicott, and that is going to seal up the game because now I can go for a Parting Shot into the Hydreigon and go out into Meganium. I actually think my best play is to protect Empoleon. Yeah, my best play is to protect Empoleon. Parting Shot the Hydreigon and bring up Meganium. Or we could just have fun. Actually, I kind of like the position. Just, you know what? It's technically a semi-unoptimal play, but I am going to Parting Shot and Ice Beam. Because I want them to KO my Empoleon so I can get a free switch to Instant plus Meganium and then threaten Thousand Gleam. Like, I think the optimal play here is just to protect Empoleon and Parting Shot the Hydreigon, because then I get Meganium in. But I think there's a chance my opponent would forfeit if they just saw the Meganium in, and I want to at least Mega Evolve the Meganium in this game. So, bring out the Meganium. And the Insane. And because they're -1 special attack, again, the only loss con here... Oh, well, they're going to forfeit anyway. They saw the Meganium was like... I don't even get to Mega Evolve the Meganium. It was going to clean up the endgame. I was trying to get Meganium in. That's the thing. I was trying to get Meganium in early, but I had to get rid of the threats, specifically that Excadrill, and I want to make sure there was no Fake Tears, Fire Blast, or Flamethrower that I had to worry about from the Hydreigon. Because if that happened and I lost Meganium, I just lost the game because I wouldn't probably just get swept by Hydreigon at that point. So I had to make sure it was in a safe spot. Even though the Mega did actually win us the game, you know? All right, we have Aerodactyl, Incineroar, King Gambit, the Eternal Floette with Sneasler and Sinistra. So I would assume this is going to be Calm Mind on the Floette, and that's going to be pretty scary to deal with. That Mon is such a massive threat. That Mon is a really massive threat. So I think my game plan here is probably going to be involving... this is what I don't like about the King Gambit plus the Floette, because King Gambit's already a little bit scary. I wonder if I could lead Empoleon here. I could probably lead Empoleon if I want. Empoleon isn't a bad lead with Cofagrigus. I want to lead Incin, but they're probably leading Gambit very likely against my team, I'm pretty sure. So I think I want to bait them not to... I don't want to give them the boost immediately, so I think Empoleon plus Cofagrigus is fine. Have Incineroar for the Sneasler, as well as like just Parting Shot in general, and then have Meganium back. It's a tough matchup. I think the King Gambit plus the Floette with Sinistra makes it difficult, but I think we do have generally good tools to be able to play around it. We have Disable on the Cofagrigus, which is huge. And also, if they do go for Kowtow, which is nice, if they do go for Kowtow, I do have the Mummy ability. They actually lead Aerodactyl, so if they have Taunt on Aerodactyl, this could be a problem, but they don't know my item. I think my best play is just to go for a Hydro Pump into the King Gambit slot and just go for a Trick Room immediately. Actually, no, my best play... what do I want to do here? I think my best play is just to go for... Actually, no, it is to Hydro Pump the King Gambit for sure. And Trick Room. Yeah. They go for Tailwind against the Cofagrigus, which is surprising, but maybe they don't know about Cofagrigus and the strength of it. They go for the Kowtow Cleave, gonna affect the Cofagrigus. Did I have the wrong berry? Oh, I think I have the wrong berry attached. Wait, I think I do. I think I mixed them up. Wait. Oh, a nerve. A nerve. Okay, I was so confused. I was like, wait, I wouldn't have been surprised if I mixed up the berry, but okay. That actually still works out really well, because if they Rock Slide, I mean, Kowtow did a bit more than I expected to the Cofagrigus, but still. This works out pretty well for me, I think, because I can just go for a Flash Cannon into the Aerodactyl slot, and I can disable the King Gambit. And if they retreat Aerodactyl, if I get a good Flash Cannon target, that's nice. Like the Floette, exactly. Exactly. I disable the King Gambit so it can't go for Kowtow. If it tried to Sucker, I would have disabled the Sucker and then I could Body Press the next turn. This is a beautiful, beautiful turn. Look at that beautiful, beautiful damage. And now, Flash Cannon, the Floette. Actually... I think we go crazy here and try... Actually, no. They could have Sinistra back. They could have Sinistra back. Trying to figure out about how I position this slot. I mean, I'm generally pretty good against this. I think we go for a Flash Cannon into... I think we double the King Gambit slot. Yes. Maybe I should have fake Tears Hydro this slot. Okay. This works out as well, as long as they don't Sucker Punch the Cofagrigus specifically. Because they could Sucker Punch the Cofagrigus, then I'd Flash Cannon the King Gambit. Maybe this was not the play. Maybe I should have just Flash Cannon the Floette. But I thought if they were going to attack for the Floette, they would have gone for the Sinistra switch. But they protect. Okay, that's fine. It did Sucker Punch the Cofagrigus, and I do activate my Cobra Berry now. But granted, this is still not a terrible spot for me. Like, I'll definitely take it. I get some damage off into the Gambit with Flash Cannon. Not much, but acceptable. No split Death Drop, which is important. Okay. We can go Meganium. Yeah, I think I should have hydroed. I think I should have hydroed and maybe just have fake tears. There's still one more turn to Tailwind if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, there's still one more turn of Tailwinds. I think I always go for a Flash Cannon into Gleam here, because Fairy Aura boosted Gleam does allow me to KO, and if they sack Aerodactyl, that works out for me as well. Also, Dazzling Gleam could KO the King Gambit this range. I could be overestimating regular Meganium, but we'll see. But I don't want to Mega Evolve and then get affected by Iron Head if they protect the King Gambit this turn, because once Tailwind expires, King Gambit's probably the fastest Pokemon under Trick Room. So they're going to retreat the Float. That makes sense. Is Incineroar coming in? No, Aerodactyl. Okay, so this works too, because no matter what, I get either I get a Flash Cannon off into Aerodactyl as well as a Dazzling Gleam single target into Gambit. They do protect the Gambit, which makes sense. But yeah, I would have gotten single target Dazzling Gleam. Oh, no, it's... I didn't target the Gambit or the Aerodactyl turn one, right? It's focus. It was full HP. Okay, I thought I broke the Sash already, but I went for a Hydro Pump instead, right, in the Gambit. But this works out pretty well for me. I am able to KO the Aerodactyl, which is what I expected to come in. And now let's see what the next Pokemon is. If it was Sinistra, I guess that spot could have been weird, but it wasn't Sinistra. Let's see who is being brought out. Yeah, I think maybe there were some suboptimal decisions that I made. Maybe I could switch out Cofagrigus hard into the Meganium and try to sweep easier. Sneasler coming in. Okay. Kind of an annoying Pokemon to deal with, but granted... Floet is a bit concerning, but I should have okay countermeasures here. I mean, they just protected the Gambit. I'm just going to go for Hydro Pump into it, and... I'm debating about just going for Dazzling Gleam, because one Dire Claw doesn't knock out Meganium, and they could close combat my Empoleon. Yeah, I don't want to Mega Evolve because of the Sneasler. The Sneasler protects too, which is actually best case for me, so ideally I get rid of the Gambit here. Oh, wow. Wait, how fast is that Gambit? Wait, that Gambit is super fast. That Gambit is super fast. The heck? Huh. I didn't expect the Gambit to be that fast, but sure. Floet in. This could, I mean, this is still kind of a spooky spot, but granted, it's not the worst here. It kind of depends on the item on the Sneasler. It's probably White Herb though. That's like my guess. I think my best play is to Flash Cannon the Floet. Is it to click Dazzling Gleam as well? I think it is. I'm a little bit worried if they protect Floet and just go for a Dire Claw on the Meganium. But I don't think they are going to do that. I think they're going to target down the Empoleon at this point because they need damage on Empoleon. If Sneasler doesn't get damage on Empoleon, they just lose. So I think the best place to Terra the Meganium, because I'm pretty sure with their own Fairy Aura, I'll KO the Floet with Dazzling Gleam. As long as no Moonblast shenanigans happens, we'll see. They do close combat the Empoleon. I do have to Chople Berry. I'm like pretty sure that this is White Herb on the Sneasler. Yeah, and I should live... That looks close to living Moonblast. I think I'll live Moonblast, though, if they doubled up the Empoleon. But I think they might have clicked Gleam or Moonblast into Meganium. It is White Herb like I expected, so that's perfect. They Moonblast in Meganium. Okay, super ideal. Nice. I am able to tank it. And we are going to be able to get a Dazzling Gleam off, which should KO the Floet and good damage to Sneasler. And now we get a Flash Cannon KO the Sneasler. Okay, super ideal. Okay, nice. So I do KO the Sneasler, and that is going to be a good game. Was not expecting the King Gambit to... I was not expecting the King Gambit to outspeed my Empoleon that one turn. Because Tailwind expired before, right? I'm like pretty sure like Tailwind had expired. So I was surprised to see Gambit outspeed my Empoleon, because that meant I didn't have to play with chip damage. I was expecting I'd have to play with chip damage that entire game, and I was like, okay, that could be the difference between Empoleon going down or not, but I should still win the end game. Like, if they still commit to that same turn of close combat Moonblast, as long as no special attack drop happens on the Meganium or a crit doesn't happen, Dazzling Gleam knocks out the Floette. I get good damage into the Sneasler. Let's say Empoleon went down because they got chip damage earlier with the King Gambit, then Incineroar comes in, and then I just double up the Sneasler with a Fake Out Dazzling Gleam into Flare Blitz Dazzling Gleam because they can't knock out both Pokemon at the same time. So that was kind of the idea of my end game. All right, we have Sinistcha, Dragonite, Basculegion, Incineroar, Pelipper, and Garchomp, a classic Rain team. Okay. Rain's generally fine for this team. It's pretty playable. I like the Cofagrigus plus Incin a lot here just because it's a pretty consistent lead across the board against this kind of team. I'm able to intimidate the Basculegion, which is nice. I don't think they're leading the Incineroar when I have a Empoleon, so I think I just keep Empoleon on the back, so I have the water switch in, get a Meganium, and we should be good to go. The idea is to probably just try to get Parting Shot off immediately and get the free switch to Meganium so I can start sweeping. I might even allow them to take the knockout into Incineroar turn 1 if they lead like Pelipper, Basculegion, just so I can get the free switch. If they lead Dragonite, Pelipper though, I might have to fake out to make sure I either A, break a multi-scale, and B, I also want to make sure that Cofagrigus doesn't go down because doubles the special attacks might KO with Weather Ball, especially like Hurricane, Weather Ball, or double Hurricane might even knock out with Mega Dragonite. But Garchomp, Pelipper, that's definitely not KOing Cofagrigus, so I can go for Parting Shot or I could Hard Swap here, so that works out. And I think my play is to Trick Room. Although losing Instance always doesn't feel good. I could go Empoleon if I really want. I feel like you should double up the Cofagrigus, but you might just decide, hey, I'm going to take the knockout onto Incin. I think I'm going to Trick him Parting Shot, though. I don't think it's that bad. Assuming I can get a sweep. Maybe I should just... No, I think I fake out Parting Shot. I was debating about fake out and just like body press or disable, but that would have been fine. They go for Protect with Garchomp, which is surprising because I don't think the Garchomp was under any threat. Why did they Tailwind Pelipper? Okay. Against the Trick Room lead, not ideal. So, I mean, that's the best turn I could have asked for. Don't get me wrong. That's the best turn I could have literally asked for. So I'll take it. Now I can bring in Meganium. And you know what? I'll play aggressive here. Because I got the special attack drop onto the Pelipper with Parting Shot, now I can go for Fake Tears plus Dazzling Gleam and take probably some KOs into the Garchomp slot. So even if they swap out into Incineroar, even if they swap out, like they don't have a Dazzling Gleam switch on this team. So we'll go for the Fake Tears. And we'll go for the Dazzling Gleam with the Meganium. Should allow me to KO the Garchomp. I don't want to Fake Tears the Pelipper because Pelipper could likely be Sash, so I do want to break the Sash. If it's Wide Guard Pelipper, I don't think they're clicking Wide Guard this turn realistically. If they do, I mean, I can disable it if I really want to, but like the Garchomp doesn't do any damage unless it's random Poison Jab, so I'm pretty okay. Like there has to be some very specific scenarios that I just don't see happening, or very likely that it's not happening, which is like Wide Guard and like Poison Jab on the Garchomp coming out this turn, and I just don't see it. All right, we Mega Evolve and Meganium. They also protected the Garchomp the last turn, so they are very unlikely to protect this turn. They protect Pelipper, so this is the best case scenario. I do get Fake Tears Dazzling Gleam off. I don't know if regular Dazzling Gleam actually KOs the Garchomp. Probably not realistically, because Garchomp has really good bulk, so we'll need the Fake Tears to help allow the Dazzling Gleam to pick up the knockout into the Garchomp. So Garchomp goes down. Excellent. Like, Pelipper probably doesn't carry Wide Guard, I imagine, if it's Tailwind and Protect, so I assume it doesn't have Wide Guard at this point. I don't think Fake Tears into Dazzling Gleam would KO the Dragonite because of multi-scale, and also Dragonite has really good special defense when it Mega Evolves. So, Sinistcha coming in, okay. I mean, they can't redirect my threat, really. I think my play is just to go for a body press solar beam. I think that KOs. I could also fake tears and weather ball to Sinistra. I don't think that's worth it though. So I'm gonna body press to break a potential focus sash. It actually does do a decent amount to Pelipper actually. Is that? No, it wasn't a crit, right? Yeah, I didn't think it was. Solar beam will come out. And this should finish off the Pelipper. It's not affected by the rain, so we will be able to get a full power solar beam off into the Pelipper and take the knockouts. So a critical hit does not matter, but extra damage. That Pelipper was blinded by the sun. Ooh, they reverse Trick Room. Okay. Which is A-okay by me. Alright, who are they bringing out? Dragonite? I assume this is Dragonite then. Yeah, it's Dragonite. Okay, that's fine. I have a few cute plays that I can do depending on what their set is, but I think the play I'm really tempted to try is just disable the Dragonite and protect the Meganium. Sinistra has some weird situations where it has to kind of play mind games with the Cofagrigus because I don't think my opponent can knock out Cofagrigus unless they double it with Hurricane Shadow Ball specifically, which would be annoying, but I still have Empoleon and Incineroar in the back, so it's not like end of the world. So what I'm going to try to do is call out Hurricane from the Dragonite. And I don't know what Sinistra's going to do. It could do whatever realistically. Rage Powder would be kind of annoying, but otherwise, like, that's still fine. They could Trick Room. They could Matcha Gotcha. So, because they could try to Trick Room to reverse my Trick Room that they might think I set up. They do go for Hurricane. Beautiful. And it wasn't a Rage Powder. So, yeah, they reverse Trick Room, calling my Trick Room, but I do get the disable off. That's huge because that means the Dragonite can't go for Hurricane, and now Trick Room comes out. And now I have a very, very awesome position where I could disable the Sinistra. To prevent it from Trick Room, I could go for Fake Tears Weather Ball. I was probably gonna go for Disabled Dowsing Gleam, most likely to seal up the game because I think that covers most of the plays, but that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, a little bit of worst case scenario, I think, for my opponent turn one. I don't think they knew what Cofagrigus does, but yeah, that is the power of Cofagrigus. All right, we have a Sneasler, Aerodactyl, Meowscarada, Volcarona, Dragonite, and Incineroar. Actually, pretty scary team. It's very fast and offensive, though. They also have a lot of rock weaknesses, which unfortunately, I mean, I do have a Mamoswine. I don't know if I'm going to exactly... It might... I could bring it. I don't think I need to, though. I think my best play is the Trick Room mode, because I only really want to bring Mamoswine and Noivern into, like, very, very specific matchups that I feel like I need to like have Tailwind against, and I can't go Trick Room. Trick Room is my default method, but yeah, like I don't think Noivern is really... I mean, Noivern has Air Slash for a lot of these Pokemon. It's just I feel like I could get a more consistent game plan with just Meowscar with Cofagrigus and Incineroar, and then just set up because they have a lot of fast-paced Pokemon, right? So I think this is the way to go. Like, I just don't... I see more consistent ways to win with Empoleon plus the Meganium under Trick Room than I do with Tailwind. Because, like, if I get one Rock Slide flinch on Noivern as I try to set up Tailwind, I just lose the game. I also can't knock out the Aerodactyl immediately because most Aerodactyls do carry Focus Sash. So I just never think it's really worth it. Also, Mega-wise, we have to think about, because there's two potential Megas that they have on their team, Aerodactyl and Dragonite. So both of them are viable without their Megas. Dragonite might be the more likely Mega, I'd assume, but I could see either one being a Mega Evolution. So let's see what they decide to go here lead-wise. Going to be the Sneasler and the Meowscarada, which is completely fine by me as I lead Cofagrigus and Incineroar. It's wider around the Sneasler, okay. I mean, I just go for fake out the Sneasler and Trick Room because I'm not really scared of the Meowscarada at all. And if they fake out my Incineroar, sure. Like, we trade fake outs, but like the Meowscarada can't threaten the Cofagrigus. Yeah, with knockoff, we'll be able to get rid of my Cobra Berry, but nope, I eat the Cobra Berry before getting knocked off, so it just really does not do any damage after that Intimidate as well. The Protean also transforms into Mummy, but the Protean's already been confirmed. So yeah, we do get a Trick 'em off, and now I wonder if I KO the Sneasler with Body Press plus Flare Blitz. I'm willing to go for it too because I think it is my best play here. Because if I get a Sneasler, that's probably the biggest threat to me. So I am going to go for the double up here. I don't want a parting shot to Sneasler because Meganium would take a lot of damage from a... It would take a lot of damage from a close combat, even at -1, because... Yeah, it would take a lot of damage. It'd probably take half, and I feel like that's just unnecessary damage that I don't really need to take, and I can take an offensive position with Body Press plus Flare. But if Incineroar switches in for a slot, I still do some pretty decent damage to it, so it's acceptable. They actually do go out into Volcarona, so I mean, I still get good damage into it regardless with the Flare Blitz combo. Body Press into the Volk. That's a pretty bulky Volcarona. Flame Body, I was expecting it. Okay, that's fine. And Flare Blitz. But Instin's actually in a pretty good offensive position. Yeah, that's like a really bulky Volcarona. They go for knockoff. Gets rid of my Citrus Berry. A little bit unfortunate. But granted, I mean, this is still a pretty okay spot. Leftover is Volcarona. I think we just go for a Body Press into the Meowscarada, and I think Flare Blitz the Volk, even if it protects, that's fine. I just really can't let this Volk stay around too healthy. I'm also, again, not really that scared of Meowscarada at this point. I am kind of wearing down my Trick Room turn, so I do got to be a bit cautious. The burn actually is making me take more damage too, which is not ideal. And they could probably Flower Trick my Cofagrigus, so maybe doubling the Meowscarada might have been play. But if they Quiver Dance with the Volk, I think I'm actually in a lot of danger. So I don't think I can allow a Quiver Dance to go up ever. All right, no protects. Body Press does some decent damage, and I am going to be able to get a Flare Blitz off into the Volcarona. Does this pick up the knockout? Just barely missing the knockout. I need to double it. They Giga Drain, okay. So it doesn't really do too much damage. I'm a bit worried about how I set the rest of the game up, actually. Meowscarada. Oh, they knock off instead of Flower Trick. Okay. I guess it's not same type attack bonus Flower Trick. So I suppose that makes sense. Okay. Ooh, this Sneasler is gonna be a problem. This Sneasler's gonna be a bit of a problem. At least I can intimidate it, and hopefully Empoleon can beat it. But yeah, this is not looking good. I have to preserve my... I think I have to preserve my Cofagrigus so I have a sack so I can always bring in the Intimidate. So I am going to actually swap out here. Oh boy, this is not an easy situation. Yeah, that bulky Volcarona has actually given me quite a bit of trouble. I could have also, I guess, went for a Throat Chop into Volcarona. I didn't have to go for Flare Blitz. I mean, Flare Blitz always covers the Sneasler, but every HP might start mattering in the upcoming parts. If they go for knockoff into Meganium, they're not going to do any damage. Yeah, like if they switch out the Volk into like Sneasler, yeah, this is so worth it. Flare Blitz damage into Sneasler is massive. So I'll gladly take this. Yeah, look at the damage. That damage is so important. Although the recoil is not very nice, but U-turn. Luckily, it's not same type of attack bonus, but that damage does matter. All right. Are they bringing back in Volk to get lefties? Ooh, close game. It's super spooky, but 100% winnable. Or are they going to reveal their last? What could they have? They have Aerodactyl. They have a few other Pokemon. They had like, what? Aerodactyl. Incineroar, I think. But if they had Incineroar, they would have gone into it way earlier. What was their last? Okay, Volcarona in again. Last turn of Trick Room, right? Yep. A bit of a weird spot because of Fake Out, but I mean, I could double the Volk, but if both Pokemon have Protect, it gets a bit awkward. I think my best play is probably, I think it's just to Dazzle swap into Empoleon. Yeah, I think it's Dazzle swap into Empoleon. I think it's really likely they double protect. I think if they fake out, it might be into the Incineroar slot, because Incineroar is the one that threatens the Flare Blitz, but we'll see. They might be scared of the Dazzling Gleam, but they don't know if I'm going for it, I suppose. I don't even know if Dazzle will knock out Volcarona with how bulky it's been, but we'll see. They do fake out. They tried to, it was the Incineroar, so I do get the call right, and no protects at all, so I do get a Dazzling Gleam off. Does this KO Volcarona? Probably not. Yeah, Volcarona hangs on. But that's such a big knockout to Sneasel. Sneasel was like threat number 1 for sure. I am taking Heat Wave though, which is not ideal. I do hang on with both Pokemon, but yeah, this is not great. Okay. I'm trying to think if I can win, because I still have not seen one Pokemon remaining. And I'm really weakened with both. Like, last Pokemon, I feel like it has to be Incineroar for me to win. Maybe Arrow. Wait, did they have an Arrow? I gotta check what mons they have. No, they do have an Arrow, because I was worried about getting flinch. That's why I didn't bring my... Okay, if it's Arrow, I could actually win too. So this is definitely doable. Oh boy. Gonna be Meowscarada coming in. I mean, my play is just to always... We saw U-turn, we saw knockoff. It should be Flower Trick. I'm debating if it's worth sacking, or if it's worth going hard Incineroar or sacking Cofagrigus. I could also sack my Meganium too right now as well, because Meganium doesn't do much. Well, actually, it could be their Mega in the back. I'm not sure about this. I hope I make it in, but I don't think I did. Alright, I switch out my Meganium into Incin because I'm assuming it's Heat Wave and Flower Trick. Okay. Flower Trick does come out, yep. It's Grass type. Targets down the Empoleon, and this should be Heat Wave. Yep. Okay. So I definitely survive with Incin. Yep, I do. I guess the question is, does that Meow protect? Because I think that's the big one, realistically. If Meow is protect, it's probably a game over. But yeah, I'm just going to fake out Ice Beam because it covers every switch and it hits it super effectively. So I always go for it here. Volcarona, I think I probably have to dodge one Heat Wave to win against the Volcarona at this point. So that's probably what I'm going to go for. Yeah, there really isn't that much I can do. Okay, wait. They give me the attack here. Oh, they Giga Drain. What? Okay, wait. I mean, still beating this... Okay, hold on. I think it was better for me to Hydro Pump the Volcarona if that was the case. But I knew Volcarona had Protect. I didn't know if Meow had Protect. What's the last? If it is Arrow, we are actually in this, I think. Okay, it is Arrow. It's probably Mega, right? Alright, we sack the Meganium, and we protect our Empoleon. Oh boy, this is super spooky. It's a winnable game. It's just like, can we find a line? That's the question. I think I might still need a Heat Wave dodge. I feel like the game will come down to Heat Wave dodge, probably. Because if I do dodge a Heat Wave, I probably win. Unless the Arrow has a move that can hit Empoleon, which I highly doubt. Because what does Mega Arrow even run? Rock Slide, Dual Wing Beat. Maybe Iron Head for the Sinistras, but it could also just be Tailwind. The Volcarona has just been kind of the most problematic Pokemon for me because, again, I didn't bring my Mamoswine. Maybe I should have brought Mamoswine. It is Mega Aerodactyl, so that's not too surprising. Okay. Okay. As we do protect our Empoleon because we're trying to get back Incin. Rock Slide gonna come out. Alright. I think it really comes down to the Volk here. They Giga Drain. I mean, Rock Slide Giga Drain was probably KOing. Yeah, we gotta go Incin. I mean, I think they double protect. I really do. Wait, my Cofagrigus is at 12 HP. It doesn't go down to burn. I'm expecting a double protect here. If I expect double protect, I think there's one way to win this game. I think it should be double protect always. So I'm actually going to go Cofagrigus, and I'm going to flash cannon my own Cofagrigus to knock out. You might think this does not make sense, but if I just fake out Hydro Pump the Volk and I land, I'm pretty sure that Empoleon beats the Aerodactyl that's intimidated. So that's why I'm going to go for a self flash cannon here. Unless I'm crazy and the Volcarona didn't have Protect, but I swear I saw Protect earlier. I should have Hydroed. Wait, that's still fine though. Rock Slide? Okay. Empoleon did take a lot, but that's fine. Okay, wait. Alright. I think maybe I trolled and I just misremembered the Volcarona. But granted, I'm like pretty sure. Oh, wait, that's what that drop is nice. Hold on. I think I KO Volk with Fake Out plus Flash Cannon now. And I don't even have to hit Hydro. Oh, so the Volk... Wait, your Heat Wave, Giga Drain, Rage Powder... What's your last move? Quiver? Because it's not Protect. I feel like you would have just Protected last turn. I thought I saw Protect on this team. Am I just heavily mistaken? Maybe. It's been a long one. Fake Out Flash Cannon the Volk. Because the Fake Out damage will put the Volk into Flash Cannon range after this Pedet drop. So I don't have to risk hitting Hydro. I just gotta hit a Flash Cannon. I just don't know if Flash Cannon knocks out Arrow or if I have to actually go for Hydro Pump into the Arrow. I also have to deal with single target Rock Slide, so... Super close. If I just fake out Hydro... Actually, no. I still think this play is decently optimal. I think Flash Cannon KOs. Okay, Rock Slide did 15 damage. I'll live a single target. Incin goes down. Okay, I thought that was me for a second. I do KO the Volcarona. Oh, I just don't think Flash Cannon KOs Arrow, so I think I have to go for Pump. They also have to hit Rock Slide. Single target Rock Slide won't KO the Empoleon at the range. Oh my goodness, Empoleon. Hit the Hydro. Hit the Hydro. Oh, they go for dueling me. That doesn't KO though. Yeah. They can still miss their next move. I still have to hit Hydro though. No, it was close. I think I gave myself the best odds. Well, I think it did because even if, let's say, I fake out Hydro Pump that one turn into the Volcarona, I didn't get the second Intimidate off in the Arrow, which meant that I probably would have gone down to the combination of Rock Slide dual Wing Beat. So regardless, it might have still been the best play regardless, but I guess if I Hydro Pumped, maybe I should have self-Hydroed by Cofagrigus, but I didn't think they would click Rage Powder in that position because I thought Volcarona was the win con. Like, I thought the Arrow wasn't the win con. You know what? The odds were pretty stacked regardless. Like having to hit through all the rock slide, the chance for flinches. I mean, I didn't even have to hit through a rock slide flinch the last time. I just had to hit Hydra, but yeah, I think I could have probably played that better. Got more damage into the Volk earlier by doubling it with body press plus Hydro. I kept thinking it had protect. I guess it didn't have protect because it never went for it, but there were probably like several times where I could have gotten a KO and I just refused to. Ooh, Mega Aggron. We have Aggron, Pelipper, Archaludon, Basculegion, Sinistra, and the Sylveon. All right, what do I want to go against this team? I think it's always the Trick Room route. I think it's really always the Trick Room route. I just can't really see Mamoswine doing well against Rain. Sylveon's actually kind of annoying though, because its high speed def means it's actually kind of hard to handle. Let's see. I think the lead here is Cofagrigus plus I actually want to lead Empoleon this time because Empoleon seems pretty nice and I don't want to give them setup opportunity with the air or with the Aggron. I also don't think they have, well, I guess Archaludon Pelipper would be really, actually Archaludon Pelipper is really annoying. It is really annoying for the setup. I do have max special defense on Cofagrigus, but I don't think it's enough. Ooh. How likely are they leading our Archaludon though? I'm not exactly 100% sure. I think I'd rather just try Empoleon lead and see if it works out or not. I could always try to pivot to Instant if it doesn't work out, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because Archaludon, I think it kind of depends on how much Electroshot does to Cofagrigus because, I mean, I don't really know this calc, so I have a lot of speed def. Okay, they led Basculegion, which I thought I thought could be a lead, but that's fine. As I lead Empoleon plus the Cofagrigus. How much do I want to sack? Do I want to sack my Instant or do I want to just go hard into Instant? I think the play. I think the play is to go Instant for Cofagrigus and absorb the attack immediately. And I think it's just to go for a Hydro Pump into Pelipper. Yeah, I think that's worth it, actually. The reason I go for this is because even if I wish I led Instant instead, because I could just fake out Trick Room and be fine with sacking Instant. But if I go Instant for the Empoleon slot, I don't think it helps. Oh, they went for Flip Turn instead. Okay, that works out. Wait, that's surprising because I don't think Flip Turn Weather Ball would KO the Cofagrigus slot. Oh, if this is Archaludon, this is really bad. Yeah, this is Archaludon. This is really bad. Okay, Sinistra's fine. Sinistra's fine. They go for Weather Ball. That's perfectly acceptable. That works out really well. That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. So curious on what their last is, but that works out. I ideally hit a Hydro here into Pelipper to break a Sash. Yeah. And I want to go for Hydro Pump because I think with Hydro, I put in range of Dazzling Gleam. Where if I didn't, I'm pretty sure like it's out of Dazzling Gleam range. Now I can go into Cofagrigus and I can go for Ice Beam plus the Trick Room. Yeah, so I'm going to go for Trick Room and Ice Beam. A really solid play would be switching out Pelipper and going Basculegion. I think it's kind of unlikely though, so I'm just going to Ice Beam the Sinistra. A double up won't KO the Sinistra or the Cofagrigus, so that works out fine for me. This is a moment where I really wish I had Shadow Ball though on the Cofagrigus over Body Press. I haven't faced any King Gambits really. Oh, they protect Pelipper. Okay, interesting. But that works out for me. So they go for Matcha Gotcha. Cofagrigus dodges. Not that big of a deal. Empoleon. It's gonna not get burned. Ice Beam does come out in the Sinistra. Good damage to Sinistra. Are you Citrus? You are not Citrus. Okay. I still think my play here, though, Body Press doesn't put the Pelipper into range of anything significant. Well, if I Fake Tears Flash Cannon to Sinistra, I could pin, like, I could do a lot of damage to, like, Basculegion for instance. So I think I'm going to Fake Tears, Flash Cannon to Sinistra. Because if they go Basket Legion, I'm pretty sure for the Sinistra slot to take an Ice Beam, I think it's fine. They also swap out into Aggron here. Okay, that's perfect, actually. Actually, I could have got Body Press off and did like a decent amount of damage, but you know what? That's fine. I do get the KO into Sinistra, so Sinistra goes down, and now I have to Fake Tears Threat. I wonder if Fake Tears Hydro Pump and Rain would Oko Bask. Bask does not have the best defenses. Basket Legion in. I'm not really worried about Body Press Aggron though. I have Chapel Berry on Empoleon, but I can KO Bask with Solar Beam. The only problem is though, I really want to try this Hydro Pump play though. So I'm gonna go for it. Also, yeah, the Aggron protecting because they just saw the Fake Tears and it's like, okay, do you want Aggron going down is very unlikely. Well, they probably don't expect, oh, the Cofagrigus or the Basket Legion could be in danger. So gonna go for it. Fake Tears, Hydro Pump lands. So close, but pretty good damage across the board. So I will take it. They go for Last Respect, which is fine. They don't take the knockout on Cofagrigus actually, which is okay. Also, Last Respect, not a contact move. I can go for a lot of plays here. I think I just go for Fake Tears into Aggron. And it's probably choice locked, I imagine, on the Bass. So I'm going to go for Ice Beam. Yes. Yeah, because they're switching out the Bask into Pelipper. I think Ice Beam KOs the Pelipper here, and then I get a Fake Tears off into the Aggron. And then if they go for Body Press this turn, it's fine. Because if they go for Body Press, then I can go for Disable. So I do get the Fake Tears off. Yeah, they go for the Body Press. I have Chapel Berry. I wonder if I would have lived without Chapel. Let's see. I knew I was living with Chapel for a fact. Yeah, I would have gone down. So Chapel coming in clutch there. Ice Beam if it KOs Pelipper. Such a good position. Ooh, that Body Press earlier would have been nice. Rain stops. Granted, this is fine. I can disable the Aggron and I can go for body and I can go for a Flash Cannon into the Pelipper slot. Oh, but the Aggron could switch out into the... Well, I don't think they're switching out Aggron because the Aggron can actually go for a Body Press KO and Empoleon. They saw they outsped in Trick Room. The Pelipper could switch out, which would be ideal. If they switch out Pelipper into Bask, that would be super solid. Yeah, I like that. Had a feeling. Perfect. So this is where Disable comes in really clutch with Cofagrigus. We are able to disable the Aggron, and we are able to KO the Basket Legion. Oh, they went for Heavy Slam. Smart. Oh, but they lost their filter. They did lose their filter. And because they lost their filter, that means that I can guarantee knockout Mega Aggron, even if it's max special defense. I think I pretty much am in a really good position to win the game. There's like a few scenarios where I could lose. It involves Pelipper and it involves to move Hurricane. Also, how heavy is Mega Aggron? Actually, no, there are two scenarios, but the Aggron has to be faster than my Meganium, which I don't remember what Mega Aggron's speed tier is, but I'm going to go for my Weather Ball here into the Aggron slot, and I'm going to go for Ice Beam. They could go for Double Protect because they want to stall out the Body Press Disable, so they can actually use Body Press again. I live Hurricane with the Meganium. I think Empoleon lose any attack from the Pelipper. I think there are only two scenarios where I'm a little bit scared of, which is Tailwind Heavy Slam into Meganium if that takes a knockout. Because if that Aggron's faster than Meganium, it actually becomes threatening because then they could go for the Body Press, but they protect the Aggron. As long as they can't KO Empoleon here, I think I'm good. Oh, that's a slow Pelipper. It's slower than my Meganium, huh? I was about to... They do have bulk, though. Yeah, they do have bulk, because... Yeah, we confirmed that they had bulk because of the fact that they lived Ice Beam. And Hydro, like, against Spadef Pelipper, or not Spadef Pelipper, against, like, Frail Pelipper, should have done a bit more. So I was a little bit suspicious. But now... I think I'm in a good spot. There's 3 turns of Tailwind. There's 2 turns of the move being disabled. So I think here... They're probably just going to go for a Heavy Slam and a Meganium. I'm just going to go for Hydro Pump into the Aggron and protect. The reason is I'm just making sure that Meganium doesn't get hit by the Heavy Slam while the Aggron, probably Iron Defense at the worst, but even then it doesn't change the game. So Empoleon should be in a pretty comfortable spot to attempt a few Hydro Pumps here. And if we just hit one, we win the game because like we got the Fake Tears earlier off. So we are able to KO the Aggron. So... nice, Empoleon able to put in work. Meganium as well was potentially going to be able to put in work if I was able to get in earlier. But yeah, the lead wasn't as great. I probably should have led Incin immediately. I mean, it ended up working out because I feel like Banded Wave Crash into Weather Ball would have probably just KO'd Cofagrigus even if like Incin came in. But maybe I'm underestimating Cofagrigus because Cofagrigus is pretty bulky. But it is still Pelipper plus Basket Legion combo, so... not 100% sure. All right, this is a very scary team. Primarina, Maushold, Talonflame, the Eternal Floette, Incineroar, and Garchomp. I wonder if they would lead Incineroar against a potential Empoleon lead, because Empoleon's actually really scary for their team, unironically. Maushold's a bit scary for me, especially if it's Taunt. Do I want to... Garchomp ain't bad. It ain't bad. The Eternal Floette, though, is super concerning. I have debated about do I bring the Mamoswine here, because it's not like a terrible mob, but at the same time, I'm kind of just comfortable with going Cofagrigus. I think I'm just going to do Cofagrigus Incin. It's just so safe here. And then Empoleon Meganium. Thankfully, this wasn't a Noivern Mamoswine showcasing. It's a Meganium showcase. So... yeah, I think this is the way to go. I can fake out the Maushold if it does have taunts, so I can set up Trick Room. Because it could be support Maushold or it could be offensive. Like either one makes sense. I could body press it immediately as well if I'm not confident, which also is fair. And I think I might. But in... alright, Floette plus the Talonflame. Does the Talonflame have taunt? I don't think a lot of them been carrying taunts, so I think it's probably worth just to go for a parting shot into the Floette and Trick Room. Yeah, because I could at least scout for what the Floette has. Yeah, I'm just going to parting shot and try to get Empoleon in safely. If this is Taunt Moonblast, it's not great though, but I don't really have a way to reposition. Ooh, Talonflame switches out actually. Incineroar? Okay, that works out. I mean, it would have been more ideal if like a hard swap to Empoleon, but... well, actually no, it wouldn't have worked because Talonflame would switch out first. Okay, they can protect the Floette, so that's fine. As I go for parting shot. And Trick Room goes up. Okay, so I get a free Trick Room, which is fantastic for me. That's super ideal. Now I think I want to get Empoleon in, because Empoleon is a pretty nice mon to have here. So I'll go for Fake Tears, and I'll swap into my Empoleon. That way I can threaten, because they might fake out my Incineroar to avoid the parting shot and just go for a Moonblast. They could go for Calm Mind if they have it, which is fine as well. But because of the Fake Tears, I'll put the Floette into Flash Cannon KO range, I want to say. They do Mega Ball the Floette, that makes sense. Alright. What did the Incin click? And if they parting shot with their Incin, that's amazing for me. And if they Dark Move my Cofagrigus, that's not even that big of a deal. Okay, no Fake Out. This could be really good for me because I highly doubt you're going for a Flare Blitz here. They Throat Chop my Cofagrigus. Okay, that's fine. They get the Mummy ability. Calm Mind. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, did they have any support? I guess it could be Maushold. So, I think they're probably likely going to go to Maushold. I just don't know if they're probably going to protect the Floette. I made my best play just to go for a body press plus Hydro Pump into the Incineroar because I think Floa is definitely wanting to not take the Flash Cannon here. So I am going to double up the Incineroar and try to catch the Mouse Hold. Because I'm assuming it's just Friend Guard Mouse Hold at this point to support the Floette. The Incin was faster than my Wait, I actually didn't pay attention to whose Incin was faster. I'm kind of curious on if their Incin is faster than mine. My Empoleon. Yeah, they protect here, which was pretty reasonable here. We got a body press off into the Incin. Good damage. Citrus. Not surprising. Ah, that's the problem with Hydro Pump, man. Oh, they went for Throat Chop again. Wait, why did they go for Throat Chop here? I'm pretty sure I could always knock out the Floette with Body Press plus Flash Cannon. Actually, no, I'm going to fake Tears. I'm going to make sure I ensure the KO on Floette. Yeah. They stayed in too, so maybe they thought they could live -1, but definitely not -3. So I get Flash Cannon KO into Floette. Beautiful. Beautiful. So Floette gone is fantastic. What does the Incin do? KO the Cofagrigus? No, they finally target down the Empoleon because they respect the Empoleon. That did a lot more than I expected. Is that crit? No, that's just Incin. Jeez. Okay. And then Talonflame? Or are they bringing out the last? Well, I guess it's not Mousehold then, because if they had Mousehold, they would have brought it out earlier, right? Yeah, Talonflame comes in. I mean, if I'm willing to trade Cofagrigus for Talonflame. If it's, yeah, I'm willing to trade Talonflame for... I'm willing to trade both my Pokemon here for the knockout on Talonflame. Because if I get the knockout on Talonflame, I'm pretty sure I just win with Meganium. So I'm going to body press the Incin because the Incin would go down to the body press. The only way they can stop that is by Incin switching out, which is fine, or Talonflame goes for a fly move into Cofagrigus. If they protect Talonflame, I just get the KO into the Incin, so that's fine as well. So here comes a body press, take the knockout into Incin, so Incin goes down, and now it comes down to the last slot here. Like, what is their last Pokemon? As we Hydro Pump, and it's going to go into Protect. The Talonflame's still scary overall, but like this is pretty reasonable. Is it Garchomp? Primarina, okay. How fast is the Prim? Is this Hyper Voice? I'm debating about if it's worth going hard. I think it's worth going hard Incin. And protecting. Yeah. I don't have to risk the speed tie immediately. And there's a line I think that kind of helps out here, which is I have access to fake out the next turn. Like if this is Specs Prim. I mean, there's no way they're clicking Tailwind Hyper Voice here. Or they're not clicking Tailwind at all. I think you need to KO into my Empoleon, I imagine. I'm also Spadef Incin, so I'll definitely take the attack. They should definitely go for like Hyper Voice plus a Flare Blitz, I imagine, into the Empoleon. Unless they don't have Flare Blitz. They do have Flare Blitz, yeah. I don't think Flare Blitz would KO after the Intimidate because Life Orb Talent doesn't exist. Maybe it's if it's Charcoal, maybe. Oh, they have Dazzling Gleam and they go for Dazzling Gleam. Interesting. So it might be Specs Prim, which is fine. I want to say that's not though, because that damage, it just looks like max special attack. Just gonna go for Fake Out Hydro. If they don't protect, that's fine. I think Incin lives Brave Bird into Hyper Voice, especially with Citrus, so I could probably Parting Shot out too and be super safe the next turn. Oh, the Prim protected, but they didn't protect the Talonflame. They're going for a really aggressive read here. This works, assuming I land a Hydro. Yeah, I didn't think that KO'd. Talonflame has lower attack set than like an Amoonguss, so it's pretty weak. And we hit the Hydro. Beautiful. Meganium wins. Alright, awesome. Now I can go for Flash Cannon and Parting Shot. Yeah, Flash Cannon and Parting Shot is fine. Because if they're Calm Mind, we want to negate the boost. So we always go for Parting Shot. Even if they Hyper Voice and get a double knockout somehow, like maybe they're Mystic Water, then it wouldn't matter. Also, like, no, the game's over 100% because my Empoleon moved before the Primarina. I get a crit, that doesn't matter. Because I'm faster with my Empoleon, I know for a fact that my Meganium's faster than the Primarina. So all I have to do is just bring it in, go for Solar Beam, and clean up the end. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Parting Shot. It's Bright Powder. It's Bright Powder. I mean, it does... Well, they forfeit. I was about to say, where did my move go? But, alright, beautiful. Surprisingly, Meganium always is able to clean up the end game after Empoleon comes in, but... it's not able to come in and clean up because they always forfeit before I Mega Evolve, man. Alright, we have... Ooh, very interesting team. Sneasler, Whimsicott, Charizard, Hisuian and Arcanine, Torkoal, Farigiraf. Interesting. Okay. Unironically, this is like the first matchup I'll say I like Noivern here. The Mamoswine can put in work too. It depends on what they have, but I don't think this is that bad. Unfortunately, I am going to bring the Meganium, which might be a huge mistake. Because I really want to showcase Meganium. But you know what? I will. Because I think I could still use it pretty well here. So I'm going to go Noivern plus Incin, which is pretty okay lead. And then I'm going to do Mamoswine and back with Meganium. I think like this is the first time I'm bringing Noivern and Mamoswine. But Mamoswine is pretty good against this team. The Choice Scarf Rock Slide is really strong here. And also the pressure on the Sneasler with Noivern is really good. So that's going to be the case. Now, it could be White Herb on the Sneasler, which would make it annoying because I could be activating it for Dire Claw to be a factor into Noivern, but we'll see what happens. Alright. What are you bringing out here? Okay, with Charizard Arcanine, that's... Man, if I just led Mamo, this would be such a great spot, but this is fine. Charizard, why... Choice... I'm sorry, what? It's Scarf? Why are you Scarf on the Arcanine? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have... The problem with the Noivern mode, because it's Scarf Arcanine, is that I'm gonna have to dodge some Rock Slide flinches. Because I want to reposition my Mamoswine to come in and click Rock Slide. Why is it Scarf Arcanine? Maybe I could... The thing is, Noivern's pretty weak, so Draco's not really worth it. I could have attempted to go for the Tailwind here and been willing to sack Noivern, but I think it's probably just better to position a knockout with Rock Slide with my Mamo. Ideally, we get the Parting Shot off. Rock Slide comes out. Incin takes that very, very well. Air Slash, okay. That's the problem. Okay. I mean, this is still okay. I can't ideally we don't get flinch this time. But we will go for a Tailwind attempt. I'm going to Parting Shot the Arcanine again. Because I can't really swap here. So, Rock Slide. If I led Mammal here, I at least could have baited maybe a Flare Blitz. Okay, we do get the Tailwind up. That is going to make it less RNG reliant. Actually, the flinch there is actually good for me, unironically. The reason it's good for me is because... it's actually good for me because if I did Parting Shot out, I could have been risking into a Heat Wave. So it wasn't Timid Charizard. Maybe it's just Modest on this team. We're going to go to Mamoswine. And I'm not going to grade this position. I'm just going to go for Rock Slide. And Heart Swap into Meganium. Because with the Meganium swap, I can actually apply more offensive pressure while I have the Tailwind turns. And that's kind of needed. I lost so much momentum by getting flinched earlier. But I would have had to dodge like 2 flinches, which was the Rock Slide on the Incin. And it would have probably been Rock Slide on either Mammo. Ideally, it would just Mammo. But now I can't get flinched because I'm under Tailwind. Meganium in. Charizard protects, which is fine. And here is the Rock Slide. We can flinch back so we don't take any damage. That would be nice. Never lucky. It's fine though. Not that big of a deal on the damage, though it does add up over time. Let's see, what are their switches that they could go out into? Nothing takes the combination of Rock Slide plus Weather Ball. So I'm gonna go for my Mega, and just go for Weather Ball into the Charizard. Because we catch the Whimsicott if it switches in. And that would deny Tailwind, which is really good. If Sneasler comes in, it takes too much damage, I think. I think Weather Ball and this... Well, actually, I already get the boost, right? With the attack. So we'll see. Mega with the Meganium. Rock Slide comes out. Really good damage in the Sneasler, actually. That did more than I thought. Oh, it's a crit. I was about to say, that did a bit more than expected. I wonder if the last Mon is Whims or not, because that's going to be a huge Mon to, like, deal with. Oh, I do KO the Sneasler. Okay, I feel very good about my spot then. I feel very, very good about my spot. Because I have one more turn of Tailwind. This is probably Well, this is Charizard plus who's the last Pokemon? Who's the last? Charizard? Whims? Yes. Okay, perfect. I think I have a guaranteed lock here. So I can go for Rock Slide and I can go for a Weather Ball into the Whims. Or I don't have a guarantee because I still have to hit Rock Slide, but it's a high chance of winning, I think. Because if Rock Slide knocks out the Charizard, we win. They're probably going to go for Tailwind, and they probably don't expect the Scarf Mammo. Because they don't know that my Mamoswine Scarf. Because I don't think I revealed any information that would indicate it. So they might Tailwind and toss their Zard. And yep, it looks like that's the case. Please hit. This is the one you need. Okay. Okay. As long as you hit that one and KO, we win. Yeah. Okay. We hit the Charizard. That's the one that matters. Scarf Mamoswine. Super clutch. And that's why we run Scarf. We need to outspeed those big threats like Garchomp, Charizard, and hit them with the super effective moves. If we hit the Whimsicott, like we hit the Rock Slide, it was just over. But yeah, now the game is sealed. I mean, the game was sealed regardless. With Meganium plus the Mamoswine. But I am glad that Mamoswine plus the Meganium was actually able to kind of put it in a really cool pin situation. Like, my opponent wasn't able to do much under my Tailwind pressure. And that's kind of what I liked, because the coverage that I had there was really hard to switch into for them. Ooh, double Meganiums. Okay, Politoed, Meganium, or Chaladon with the Basculegion, Sinisha, and Talonflame. So this is going to be an interesting one here. Okay. I am a little bit scared of Arch. Arch is pretty annoying to deal with. Do I want Noivern here? I'm trying to think of, do I go with the Trick Room route or do I go with the Tailwind route? I don't know if they're bringing Talonflame into my team. That's the thing. Because I am a really defensive team, but they don't have the best answers to Meganium other than, I guess, their own Arch. Like, what would they lead here? I'm trying to think about that lead, and it's a bit weird because I'm trying to figure out what the optimal decision is. I think Cofagrigus Instant isn't terrible. This is tough. I think the Noivern is a bit tricky to pull off though, so I am gonna do the standard Trick Room route here. Because without Fake Tears, it's just hard for me to see myself getting KOs other than against the water types. I'm also curious how fast the Meganium is. They have double grass. Mamoswine doesn't KO Meganium, so I don't think it's worth it. It's also not great in terrain, and also our Chowdon lives a ground type move. So I don't think it's worth it. Let's see what they bring out here. Talonflame Meganium. Okay, I'm really glad I didn't lead Noivern, because if I led Noivern, this would have been such a weird position. This is actually like perfect position here. Alright, I can go for a Trick Room, and I can go for a Parting Shot into the Meganium. Kind of curious on what text they have. I guess they could have Taunt on the Talonflame, but if they have Taunt, again, it's not like... I don't think it's... It'd be annoying, but I can play around it. I could go back to Instant, so that's fine. But ideally, we don't have to deal with it. They also Mega, so they are vulnerable to Flash Cannon. Oh, they went for Quick Art, which is beautiful, actually, because I didn't go for Fake Out. They went for Earth Power, that's fine. I have Special Defensive Instant, which takes it extremely well, gets the Parting Shot off. Very, very good turn. Very, very good turn. So we get the Parting Shot off. Huge. Empoleon puts in the most offensive pressure. Yeah, we go Empoleon. We go Empoleon. I want to get rid of the Talonflame if I can. So we're going to go for Fake Tears plus Hydro into the Talonflame. Or do I go for Fake Tears Ice Beam? Would that KO Talon? I don't know. It could KO as a Sinistra and it would do more damage to Arch, and I could see both of those Pokemon switching in. I think I'd rather go for the Fake Tears Ice Beam. Because I could see Talon switching out. Well, I guess Talon could switch out to Politoed, so maybe Hydro Pump was better. But they also have to worry about Meganium taking a lot of damage as well with Flash Can. Like, both slots are in danger, so I'm kind of curious on how they're going to maneuver. Politoed for either slot makes sense, though. If they have Politoed. They might not have brought Politoed. Talonflame retreats. Arch or Sinistra would be really good for me. Bask? That's fine. Okay, they protect Meganium. Okay, that's good. So I get a Fake Tears off into the Bask, and I get an Ice Beam, which isn't bad. Like, this is some decent damage. Yeah. I think I KO with Fake Tears Flash Cannon. That's my play here. I'm not really that scared of Meganium, and I want to ensure if I can get rid of the Bask, that would be nice, because the Bask probably... Well, actually, no, they can't run Band in this. I keep forgetting. They can't run Band, so maybe it can protect. But I feel like they'd probably be fearing Fake Tears Ice Beam into Meganium, so... I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up here. If they have Sinistra, though, they could go Sinistra for the Meganium. Let's see if that's the case. No, it's Talonflame again. Okay, that works out. And protect on the Bask. Oh, yeah, I think I was in this situation before where I keep thinking Bask could always just run Ban, but they can't run Ban. That was a mistake. So if you were yelling at me earlier for that. That lived? I didn't think that would live. But they last respect. This does no damage because they didn't get a KO earlier. I can also disable the Bask so it can't go for last respect, so it's not really doing any damage, and I can threaten the Hydro Pump into Talon. They could like swap out the Talon, I suppose, back into Meganium, but that's fine as well, because again, even though they're kind of dancing around to Trick Room, they still haven't gotten that much value out of it. So we are going to see Arch finally come in. Okay. So that is the final Pokemon. Talon didn't protect though. And it goes down to Hydro, so that's still not terrible. Although I am put in last respect range. However, there's no Power Up in this game. And there's no rain, so that means our Chowdon can't set up Electro Shot immediately. Like, it can't go for instant fire Electro Shots. So that's actually still pretty nice for me. Meganium in. Last turn of Trick Room. I think I can just fake Tears the Arch. The question is, what am I doing with Empoleon? Am I going hard into Incin? I think so. Or I could go Meganium. Meganium's not a bad mid-ground. Actually, I think no, I want to go Incin. I was debating about going Meganium because it's a mid-ground if they go for if they go for Earth Power, but I feel like they're probably just protecting both. Or they're protecting the Meganium. Ooh, getting rid of that Wide Herb is nice on the Archalon, okay? Yeah, they do protect Meganium. Do they protect the Arch, or are they trying to fire off an Electro Shot in Empoleon? Okay, that works out. So I can potentially get another round of Trick Room up, which would be great, because I don't know the speed stat on the Meganium. You think this is... I don't know how fast you're running the Meganium. This is kind of the problem, is I had never got to find out the speed tier on the Meganium. So if... I mean, I imagine they're faster because they have Trick Room, and I really don't have any speed on mine. I think we just Trick Room Fake Out. And then we can Parting Shot. I don't know if they can knock out Cofagrigus with Draco. We'll see. They do go for Draco. I mean, I do dodge, which is really helpful, but I don't know that KO'd. Again, max special defense on the Cofagrigus. So I'm going to go for my fake tiers into the Archaludon, and I'm going to go for Parting Shot into the Meganium. If they go for Protects, that's fine. What was their last was Bask, which isn't that much of a threat. They're going to stay in with both and attack aggressively, which actually works out in my favor, I think. So I'm able to get the Parting Shot off and get in my Meganium here. I need to try and KO the Arch, ideally. They go for Solar Beam, so they're going for the Solar Beam knockout into Cofagrigus. I thought they'd be worried about, like, Flare Blitz, but that works out fine. Oh, no, they targeted my... Oh, they read my Empoleon switch. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, this is best case scenario because they locked themselves in, and the Arch is definitely the biggest threat to me. Okay, perfect. I want to say I live Weather Ball after Mega Evolving. I mean, my best play still is just to go for Body Press plus Weather Ball. We'll find out whose Meganium is faster. I think after the Parting Shot, though, I do live. I'm pretty sure with my Meganium. I mean, I hope I live with Meganium. I mean, the Weather Ball would be in Sun, technically, so maybe I'm overestimating Meganium, but... if we just get rid of this Archaludon, I feel really, really good about being able to win with Empoleon. So let's see. Body Press to break a Sturdy. If it's Sturdy Archaludon, that looks like Sturdy Archaludon because that did so much damage. Okay, yeah, I am the slower Meganium. That's what I thought. I don't have that much speed because I'm a mixed room team, but I'm mostly dedicated towards Trick Room. Get the KO on Archaludon. Oh, they went for Solar Beam to Cofagrigus. That's not KOing after the Parting Shot. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I win. Unless they don't have Weather Ball, they could be like Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam plus Solar Beam, which is fair. Basque Legion in, and they do forfeit. So, nice. Nice. Cofagrigus was able to put in work. I don't know if the Draco Meteor KO'd. I think it depends on the Arch too, because if it's Sturdy Arch, they might have been Timid Arch, and I don't think Timid Draco was KOing Cofagrigus at that range at all. Modest might have a chance though, and it could also be like not Sturdy potentially, but I do think the damage from Body Press was like, that is probably a very fast Arch at the very least. It didn't seem like it was that bulky, or maybe again, Cofagrigus has base 145 defense, so maybe I'm underestimating the Cofagrigus, maybe just a bit. And that was Mega Meganium. Was it the most amazing Mega? Again, I think it's a really hard Mega to position. And I think it does need some support, and I mean a lot of support in order to get knockouts. You need to make sure that it is not threatened, and you kind of need either chip damage because it's not like the crazy amounts of damage. I think Solar Beam is really strong, but otherwise Dazzling Gleam, even though it has a good special attack, still a spread move, so it is reduced in power from the reduction from 25% because of the doubles factor. And Weather Ball is a really cool option, but sometimes it will miss those knockouts. But Solar Beam is really strong, and I thought Mega Meganium was pretty neat. And when it's not being super threatened by like Sneasel and Charizard Y, I think it's a very, very good mon, especially with the fact that it does, I think, have potential just because of the fact that offensive grass types, like being able to hit like water types, is really hard in the format. So having that option for the Solar Beam is actually pretty solid across the board. I think rain teams have been the most successful with Meganium just overall because of the fact that you can still go for the Weather Ball in the rain with the fire typing, which is pretty neat. And of course, you do reduce the damage. You can threaten like the Sneasers with Basket Legion. But I did want to take a little bit of a different approach with the Mega Meganium. And I hope you enjoyed watching this kind of trick room with Cofagrigus, which I don't think you would have seen too much of otherwise. But yeah, I think Mega Meganium is a cool Pokemon. It might have some viability. Do I think it's like the best Mega? Probably not in like the top 5. Maybe not even in the top 10. But I do think it is a viable mon at least. And it does have some cool things going for it. But if you'd like to check out the details of the team, again, in the description down below. If you want to try out the blueprint, if you have all the mons and need to build in-game, it's over there. You can grab it for a week after this video because we post so many teams here. We are posting so many videos on this channel for Pokemon Champions. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you around for more VGC content in Pokemon Champions.